And I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow.
Oh my God, what's this?
And I sing happy. And I sing happy. And I sing happy. And I sing
Put your Halloween intro. Where's that Halloween intro though, Prince? You gotta give it to them real quick.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Celebrities. Come on.
Welcome to Thought Crimes. We cannot say many of these celebrities or politicians, but what we can do is record their actions as we see them for history and add this information to the historic records of humanity. That way, all those who have come afterwards will understand what is taking place in this modern time. Welcome to Thought Crimes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, back at it again. And be sure to subscribe to this particular channel here. Thank you so much, Sin. I appreciate you for showing up here, too. I know Sin wanted, we was going to talk about. We talked about this a little bit last night, too, by the way, to let everybody know we did talk about this a little bit last night.
You're not going to really see this a lot because Prince is going to be doing his own thing on his own channel.
SpaghettiOs.
Because Prince and I got a lot of channels together. We got TCZ, we got Thought Crime.
Yeah.
Damn, her big ass head over here too.
And it's good, proudly.
Proudly, I know.
Yeah.
But temporarily.
Temporarily, yeah.
Yeah. What's good, everybody? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what it is. It's a capo niggas in the building, First and foremost, I just want to say shouts out to my niggas on the Patreon. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Shouts out to the bitches, too. That's what we doing. But by the way, you know what I'm saying? Fuck all that nigga. Got my man T5.
Oh, shit,
We're going to have a real conversation about what's going on in rap music. Well, yeah, because, a lot of niggas, they be hating me out there. They hate me out there. Yeah, because I'm still a koofy smacker. So what, nigga? I said I was better than Nas. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you niggas? Bitch niggas. You know what I'm saying? I'm a real nigga, unlike Cam's teeth, niggas. Bully! Anyway, niggas, yo, make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. You niggas gonna get it first. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I always be delivering y'all work the first, niggas. Y'all know what time it is when I touch down. You know what I'm saying? The tri-state area, Harlem. You know what I'm saying? Chickens, pies. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that you do, niggas. Jimmy's!
Make it. Dancing on the floor, I see her naked. Every time I'm on the floor, I do the thing.
All right, y'all, ladies and gentlemen, we are here today, too, by the way. And look, folks, I do want to talk about this conversation, this thing we call rap music, this thing we call hip hop, too, by the way. And the reason why we're going to have a conversation, because, look, people online, they're lying. I got Drake in the thumbnail for a reason. Sin asked a very interesting question to the think tank on Thought Crimes on the Blackout stream.
I gave great answers, by the way.
Yeah, we like, well, why is everybody making a U-turn, an illegal U-turn in the middle of the street? You get what I'm saying? And so everything that was a talking point last year, everything that where everybody was making money and everybody was having fun, and we getting rid of Milli Vanilli, and we getting rid, hey, yo, man, we here now. It's for the MC, yeah, man, the clips, Jid, and great albums. Chance the Rapper, even though a lot of people tried not to talk about Chance's album.
And we was fair with that too, even though we really liked Chance the Rapper, the little nigga that was doing the chat GPT, disqualified. Yeah. I don't want to hear nothing about that little mouse nigga.
So we was talking about like rap music, but overall, like these are great albums. The chat GPT conversation came up. Riley from the Boondocks, he got 100 lashings on his small back. His back is like a boo from Aladdin, and everybody in hip hop gave him 100 lashings.
That's what I'm saying. Like the culture is so fake, it ain't real no more. Like people be nervous to say the truth because they trying to do relationships. I like Chance the Rapper's album, but we can still say the little dude doing chat GPT, no.
Yeah, there was a flag on the play.
Flag on the play.
Right? But it was him that actually punched in the keys. I don't think Cardi's doing either that. Look, here's the thing about it, and I'm just being honest with you. I don't know.
Prince, you're protecting Drake, though. And I don't like that.
See, you're being sensitive, and I don't like that, right? What they say, you being emotional. I don't like that, right?
I'm sorry, I don't have a voice like Mariah Carey, but if I did, I would.
Do it again,
I feel high, I feel good. I never felt so satisfied. It feels like a dream when you touch me tenderly. Ain't like the way you feel inside.
So, all right. So look, y'all. So I'm online. I'm looking, and
I'm gonna have someone sing for me though, and I'm gonna take credit for it.
Yeah. So we online. I'm looking at everything, and the rules are not applying. And I think there's a lot of biases. There's a lot of bias energy going on. Of course, there's always going to be regionalism, right? And so Cardi B, she did. Her and JT have been going back and forth for a minute, right? Cardi B comes back outside and she says, slow face. She does these things. I think in the first 3 songs, she's dissing people, right? Okay, fine. You guys know I struggled. Shouts out to my guy, Black Noise. He says, Prince, can you please do the Cardi album? Look, the Shauna and Streets album was fire. I think we was having too much fun with that one.
Too much.
But by the time I got to Cardi and I just heard how lackluster her flow was, it was like very instantly it hit me. I'm like, oh, I'm on a different album. So here's the thing. So she's dissing people. Then she said what she said about JT, fine, whatever. In fact, a lot of people in the industry were saying, yo, Cardi's outside. Cardi gave you bars. Cardi's giving people bars. I saw Two-Tone say that. He said, I don't want to hear nothing about Twitter. I want to hear nothing about anything. She gave you bars. Get in the booth. Okay. Then JT got in the booth, right?
The Breakfast Club and a lot of people are trying to protect Cardi B. And to your point, look, let me tell you, and we said this last year, and I got old videos. So anybody come up saying y'all fake, I'll show our 7-year-old videos so y'all to shut up. But I remember a long time ago when Invasion of Privacy came out and it won a Grammy, I said, this is the problem I have with Cardi. If I'm not writing anything and I'm not producing anything and I'm not doing anything, then I'm not putting my stuff up for a Grammy to compete with people who wrote their lyrics or did all the production, And to me, I just think it's really corny. It's the arrogance of it, the lack of humility. There's a lot of spaces that Cardi can go because we're not haters, so we don't care that deeply. Like if she wanted to do movies and some sitcoms, there's a funny energy that she does have. She can be funny at times. She dresses.
I think she should get into acting.
She dresses very well. I thought, like what Prince and I said, her album, the photographers and the people who dress her up, fabulous. Like even the Hitchcock look
Everything.
with M.I.M. the drama, I thought it was fabulous. And
The
then also-
rollout was great.
and then also with Invasion of Privacy, when they was adding the Missy Elliott energy, and they gave her the finger waves and all that, and then also the people who did the graphic designs, and shout out to all the artists out there who don't get enough credit to make a lot of these stars look good. I thought that was nice as well. See, the thing that I think Rock Nation and a lot of the pro Cardi people have messed up with, because they hate Nicki Minaj so much, they don't even know how to address the situation properly. And it's really quite simple. If you think Nicki has gone on the deep end, you could say that without lying and doing this Cardi B barring stuff.
Well, no. You're right about that. See, this is what we're talking about, though. This is what I'm talking about. That's why I say we knew they were going to mess up. Last year, when they tried to turn everything concerning Drake versus Kendrick, when they tried to make it into Holy Wars, I said, oh, yeah, y'all about to mess up. Y'all about to mess up because a lot of you all are Team Cardi. And so some of the things that you're levying against Drake just in general, saying, yo, he got to get out of here. He don't write. They said he a white man. I thought Rick Ross was funny. I said, I'm all for the jokes. We think it's funny, right? They said he not even a black man.
But they won't call
Right?
Cardi a white woman.
So they did all of these things, and they made sure they preserved the image of not only the black MC, but a dark-skinned MC too, because we had Kendrick running around here, fantastic musician, but there was a lot of guys talking that talk with that. Then not only did Pusha T bring his butt outside, he brought his brother outside. And people I saw one guy say this proudly. He says, finally, rapping has returned back to the black man. I said, you know what? Salaikum salam, my brother.
Some Umar Johnson people.
I said, salaikum salam. So you know me, you all. I'm ready for the same action with the women. Yo, when we gonna bring this back to the sisters, right? When we gonna bring this back to, because Sid and I, we was irritated how many people kept trying to interrupt the conversation of the bars that Megan Thee Stallion had as a down south Southern belle black woman, right?
Megan Thee
When we
Stallion.
talked about that, right?
Yeah.
So they got her out of here. Then they brought in Gloria Estefan. I said, okay, hold on. I said, it's cool.
Who said, and Cardi B said she was in an interracial relationship with Offset, just to say this.
Just to be clear
Just
now.
to be clear.
Just to be, hold on, just to
And
be clear.
Timmy, so we can keep all the facts together. Drake from day one did say he was a black man. It doesn't change the fact that, yes, he still have strikes for saying trying to free the slaves and all this other shit that he said in that UK rapper stuff. Like, come on. Bullshit. But no, Drake did say he was a black man, and they said, get him out of here. And Drake literally has a father whose bloodline is very involved with black
music.
American music.
Yeah, his father,
Larry
Graham.
Everybody, he's a long list of black people in the music game that are from the United States.
Larry Graham was the basis for Prince, the singer.
That's why I said Cardi B is 20 times worse than Drake, because at least Drake used to write, and it is documented he was over there in Dr. Dre's writer's sweat camp. Now, this doesn't excuse at the same time Drake's poor behavior, but the problem is when people say black women image doesn't matter and they don't care, even though black women co-created hip-hop.
They did.
And
that's
now,
like saying co-creating thought crimes.
yeah, and then
Like, come
and
on.
y'all saying, oh, it's okay to have a white version of me. But, you know, people have already tried in the industry also with Prince. But the crazy thing is people said all this stuff, but then with Cardi, it doesn't apply, and it's
What'd you say?
500 times worse.
What you say, Van Moose?
Musically. Yeah, Van
Van
Moose,
Moose.
you whack to me.
Okay.
Take that shit back to the factory. I see it. The
You
gimmicks.
mixed it. You know what? And also, OVO Bet, shouts out to you in the chat. I'm going to take your beautiful statement and I'm going to double it. The real issue is it's black women that don't matter and they're not seen as equal in rap because Cardi B does not identify herself as a black woman. Uh-oh, why are we having this conversation? Y'all had it with Drake.
Well, she switched up later. At first, she didn't. For most of her career, she did not see herself as a black woman. But when she went to Atlanta, Killer Mike and the rest of them said, "No, you're a black woman." Just like with Diddy told J-Lo she was black. So
Well, she said she was Afro-Caribbean.
No, yeah, but she said eventually she started to call herself a black woman, and then she changed it to Afro Caribbean.
The reason why I'm bringing that up,
Diddy did the same thing with J-Lo. He told J-Lo that she was a black woman.
see, there's no value there for these men. The reason why I'm bringing that up because Drake said he's biracial. Logic says he's biracial. The public overtly, comfortably says both of them are not black. That's perfectly fine if y'all want to do that, and that's perfectly fine for them to contest the general public. What I don't like is when we're doing all this Angelina Jolie bending the curve of a bullet on Wanted when it comes to Cardi B. And we're talking about MC, and so, it was going back and forth with some people online, and, one of the people hopped out and just said in general, well, women rappers never write, or they don't write.
Yeah, that
so
was that comment.
all of, especially Black American women history in rap music and hip hop is thrown under the bus for the protection of Cardi B because y'all got beef with Nicki Minaj. Mm-hmm. I want y'all to rewind that. Just
it's
say
like you can't
you
debate.
throwing all of the history of our music under the bus.
You can't debate or talk or say the flaws with Nicki without giving Cardi excuses. That's the problem. I don't understand why people think that way, that it got to be A or B. So far, it's seemingly Nicki writes all of her stuff. She had a standout verse in Monster and some other tracks as well. But she is crazy. I get it. She is. I mean, even when she tried to manipulate and say, oh, it's for black women, we already know Nicki is about surviving Nicki. And she got the issue with the husband and with the brother that we've already documented. I saw some people say, well, talk about Nicki more.
We talked about that over and over. The minute it's time to talk about Cardi,
right?
Culturally, structurally, critically, y'all talk about Nicki. Like, come on, y'all.
I don't got any more thing to say about Nicki. Prince and I talked about Nicki already with the hypocrisy with Megan Thee Stallion. Prince and I already talked about Nicki with Lil' Kim. This is why a lot of people be scared of our channel. You throw a pebble and try to call us a hypocrite or anything, we got a video for it, so shut the fuck up. For example, they talk about the weather and the husband. We've talked about that for years. So all that stuff already documented. Now let's talk about Cardi.
Yes.
And people don't want to have that conversation of talking about Cardi. They want everybody just to only focus on Nicki all day, 24/7. We've already talked about Nicki for the past 9 years. It's time to talk about Cardi. And I remember the industry got on us, even when we made that video about what was Cardi doing with the cockroaches, calling black women cockroaches and the dark skin colorism stuff that Cardi was doing back in the day. Mm-hmm. When we talked about it, our video, we got in trouble, right? But everyone only wants you to talk about, just talk about Nicki. And I'm glad you brought that up, Ted, because we also talked about Remy cooking on a Nicki pack. So
we covered all of it. And the only reason I think this is beautiful, y'all know me, I love it. I love that they stretching their face all out of place trying to fix this thing with Cardi. Because that means for the culture, everybody's free. Review Iceman. Listen to Kendrick. Ready for J. Cole. You know how raw they were getting with their monotheistic approach last year? They was ready to cancel J. Cole's career. I don't listen to J. Cole every day, but I do know the man got a classic on the board. I actually feel the album that's second strongest to, Forest Hill Drive would be For Your Eyes Only, and then KOD. But out of his discography, my favorite album from him is Born Sinner. But they was ready to push the line so hard last year, in the beginning of this year. They was ready to cancel J. Cole's whole career. And now today, all of a sudden, nobody wants to talk about Cardi B being a much worse rapper than anybody that was involved in the battle last year on all levels.
Drake can flow on beat, even though sometimes some of his points get boring. But Cardi can't even flow on different tracks. Nicki can. Cardi can.
Look at that dry reaction.
Even saying a fact like that, because people are acting like zealots right now, they get mad. So it's they thought they try one thing where they be like, did you talk about Nikki sins? We've talked about her,
Talked about that already.
her sins since day one. Okay, what else you got? Did you talk about Drake sins? We've talked about Drake sins.
Talked about that last year. A lot of people made money too.
Okay, what else she got?
Right.
Okay, she can't even flow.
We can't even have the.
She has a flow issue.
We can't even have the conversation. Y'all, I watched all them little Dizzy mainstream industry podcasts, boys. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. It was so pathetic to watch them have a dishonest conversation about my flop and your flop is not the same.
I saw them. I was paying attention to them. And hip hop journalists. Man, she cooked. She cooking. My flop and your flop is not the same. That shit was boring.
That was
What is that?
that was awful.
It was very
That
awful.
was awful. No matter in it, I'm telling you all.
As much as Jay-Z does his devious stuff, Jay-Z is amazing with flow. Like when you see Jay-Z flow on imaginary players and be in the pocket and he's selling this luxury and all that, and I'm better than everybody.
Is that a 4.0 or 4.5?
And it's like, and then Ebro was like, well, you can't compare the two. Yes, I can.
It's literally tailored off of the original. Why wouldn't I? You see what I'm talking about? How they skip out. Okay, so if P Solo come out, if I do, let's just say, Imaginary Monkeys, right? And I'm just messing around, but I'm just flowing all over the beat, things like that. People would naturally, by default, compare it to the original, even if I'm just messing around. If I did Jay-Z's voice on the Imaginary Players beat, right, and tried to rap exactly in the pockets just like Jay, some people were like, yo, that was pretty good. Some people in hip-hop and rap music would say, you was kind of out of the pocket here. Mm-hmm. But with Cardi, you can't complain because it's a girl version.
And also, I want to make this clear because some people may bring out, well, what about MF Doom and stuff? When you're talking about off rhythm, you're talking about people who are really supreme lyricists that also are following the sounds either under the beat, in between. These are people who are amazing craftsmen. You when you listen to MF Doom, Cardi B is actually struggling with being in flow with a lot of the songs. Now, where Cardi does great is when people tailor the production around that deficiency, like WAP. Also, how they changed the arrangements and for Bodak Yellow.
They have to speed it up for her. They had to speed it up to the point where she'll speak Spanish. I'm just being honest because it's her native syncopathic nature of her language.
But Big Pun's was bilingual. He still can rip it but he can rap. He writes.
But Big Pun is an MC though.
Yes.
That little that's clear. Y'all got a better shot of giving Cardi to try to rework some of that. Then y'all trying to slow her down and have punchlines and metaphors and similes and alliterations and things like that. And listen, this is why I'm gonna be honest with you. When I hear like, I'm so happy I grew up listening to the diverse spaces of music, especially growing up in Atlanta, in the manner that was where we didn't take things so serious in a sense where it became a cult, religious energy.
You see how now people being nice to Fat Joe because he's with Rock Nation in a podcast. Now, when Fat Joe was pro Drake,
right,
and putting OVO Letterman jacket on, they was like, well, Fat Joe need to go. He's not a part of the culture. Now that I'm saying, people are like, yeah, Fat Joe podcast, man, he's killing it. He's doing a great job.
That's why I say y'all don't have. And when you look at media industry stuff, you don't have no culture there. I'm being honest with you all. Your culture is whoever it is that you find fascinating, and they cover the niche things that you're interested in within rap music and hip hop. I don't even mind the idea that Cardi exists in the sense of she wants to be a Las Vegas burlesque, lavish lifestyle rapper. That's fine, but let's be real. The corporate machine and the corporate oligarchs in music and hip hop, they're pitting her in spaces and discounting women. Like, it's cross marketing when I say, oh, Cardi B breaks Lauryn Hill record. It's not even just about announcing the record. That's called cross marketing right there.
And to add to your point, Cardi is serving her masters. Her masters are saying, bitch, I don't care that you don't write. I don't care that you don't produce anything. We say put your album up for a Grammy because we said so. We say you compete with the Nickies, whether you like her or not. And she's not from Asia Caribbean, but also competing with the Lauryn Hills and everybody else, right? The legacies and all that. Because we say so. Just like when Nicki first came into the game and Lil' Kim, was showing her new style with
Birdman and Slim. Yeah.
And Birdman took Lil' Kim's theme and gave it to Nicki. And then also what Nicki had when it comes to the higher ups with her stuff. They all serve their masters. Just like when people say, well, it's work, and people have to work with. No, they don't. If you own who you are, then it's not, you don't have to work with anybody. So then in that case, right, Prince and I work in media, right? So y'all give passes to people because you like them, right? Let's say, okay, Prince and I, his work is media. I'm going to go work with Aiden Ross. It's media, y'all like LeBron James. Y'all don't bust his back in too much. He was over there. And it's work, His media is a business. Business is business, right? So it's like, y'all got to make up your mind. It's either business and business and y'all don't care about writing. And therefore, okay, Cardi can breathe and whatever the masters at UMG or Sony and Warner say and whatever just goes. Or you actually be consistent with the so-called principles that you claim you have.
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. No, Cardi didn't cook Nicki. No, I want to be real. No, I want to have a conversation.
That's an industry nigga burner account.
Yeah, no, I actually no. I want to get into this. Like we, even we can move past ethnicity because it don't really matter in industry rap because the black women didn't matter. So I understand, and. Even the most popular black men, especially when they die and cross over, oh my God, they get put on the Coltrane level, right? But let's talk about that, what you said. Who did Cardi cook lyrically?
Who did she cook? Name me a bar.
Right now, people are waiting for, her team is waiting for Partisan to come up with something right now.
I'm putting some gum in my mouth just now. Give me a bar.
Then, on top of that, I'm going to be honest with you. We talked about Tina Snow being, as far as I'm concerned, in the space, being a fire spitter. A fire spitter.
Gone. Get out of your feelings and give us a bar. Give us a hot bar that.
What up, Brown China?
That Cardi wrote. Give us a
y'all
bar.
Be sure y'all subscribe because I'm definitely gonna be doing some more hip hop debate streams and everything because I want to because I don't care like that. But ace, a spade is a spade. Ace is and a spade is a spade. I can't. Let me tell you why some of the fellas in the industry space, because people do invite us. They want us to get onto some of these bigger situations, and some folks mean well. I don't have an issue with them directly, anything like that. But I don't want to get into the space where we all got to drink from the dusty well.
Brown said she cooked roaches.
Right?
Yeah.
So. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like when you said Cardi cooked Nicki.
Give us a bar.
Watch out. Where? When? How? Who?
Give us a bar.
Because the reason why I'm saying, because some of these people need to get out of hip hop. Some of these people that, like, you're lying. You're not a fan. You're not a connoisseur of hip hop. You are a follower of a celebrity. You're a follower of a celebrity.
Gone, give us a bar where she cooked Nicki. Give us a bar that Cardi wrote by herself where she cooked anybody.
Yeah, because I want to know. I want to know what makes you lie.
Because, I find it interesting when people say get out of their feelings, but then bullshit again. You're emotional because you care about Cardi.
Let me see something here. I want to put up.
Or because you just hate Nicki. But whatever reason, you're very emotional and you want everybody else to get on the Cardi train. so you can be happy and feel better about your feelings.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not even taking any of this serious with these people. I just want to know. I want to have a real conversation with you all. You know, because I'm gonna be honest with you, the rules still apply. The rules still stand, Shouty. I mean, because if you start bending the rules, then the biracial corporate genie they threw at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean last year, they might as well take the chains off his feet. I'm gonna tell you how non-biased P Solo is. Y'all know how much I love Ludacris's music, right? Sean J cooked. I'm gonna say this again. Sean J cooked the braids off of Ludacris. Sean J cooked Ludacris. If you think I'm lying, go check it out. They had their whole issue, the song about Georgia. Georgia was originally their record. Ludacris got on there, and then Ludacris got nominated for the Grammy. I think he won a Grammy for it. He had his acceptance speech, and he didn't even acknowledge Field Mob. Then Field Mob went public about it, and then they ended up getting blackballed out of the industry. Sean J cooked Ludacris. I can tell you that as a hip-hop fan. I don't do this delusion shit. That's what I said last year with Kendrick and Drake. I said, hey, Drake, lyrically, Euphoria is walking you down. But we get on here, and then people play these games. I have not heard a moment where Cardi B has officially cooked Nicki Minaj.
Or anybody. Who has she cooked?
Who?
What did she write that cooked anybody? I mean, when you think about Nas versus Jay-Z,
Come on.
We know bars where they cooked, although Nas won. Where? Where's the cooking?
Because see, and then we got to get into the situation. Then we got to stop. We got to stop using all these black women in these videos and on these stages as props there. Because when they speak on the mic, they're not judged the same. And when I say not judged the same, they're overly judged. Meg Thee Stallion wrote her rhymes. Meg Thee Stallion could dance. Meg Thee Stallion could probably beat most unhealthy male rappers' asses in the industry. You know what they said? It's not enough. That's what they told the Megan. It's not enough. That XX freestyle where she's in the circle with the baby, Meg smoked the baby, and the baby had the better verse out of all of the other guys out of the freshman class, but Meg still smoked him.
Get out of your feelings. Cardi is just as black as Nicki.
So
get out of your feelings, Prince.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to figure out what we talking about, because this is all I'm saying. Then I don't want to hear nothing else about culture talk.
I will troll the fuck out of people who get on my nerves.
All right.
You can say, okay, who's black or Prince, Drake or Cardi? Who got one 100% identifiable black parent? Let's stop playing games.
Yeah, because let's be real. If Drake was all on social media calling black men cockroaches, oh my goodness, he probably would have got shot. Yo, we can't be inconsistent, y'all. Let's be mature. If I'm calling a play, how's that? Where's the immaturities? Oh, you switching sides. Who said that there was sides to be on if I'm judging the art?
Well, here's the thing, Prince, is because it's an industry hit. And this is why you see those people trying to be getting mad at us, because they're industry.
What up, Black Noise? Y'all be sure y'all subscribe too, by the way, because I know some people like, yo, bro, you going to throw some more stuff up here? I am. I'm going to be throwing some more stuff up here.
I'll ask the same question that I asked on the Blackout stream. Why do y'all think the same people who said about preserving the culture last year, this year, why do you think they are not holding the same thing to be true with Cardi B? Why are they giving Cardi B a pass? Somebody in the chat, can y'all let me know? I want to hear your opinions on this channel.
Because I watched all of those mainstream. When I say mainstream, I'm speaking specifically about
Industry.
corporations and industry. I feel we're the mainstream. We are the mainstream. We're the general mainstreams, because this is why, you know, people come and they take and they lift points or whatever the case is. I kid you guys not. I watched all of those grown men struggle to say, your flop and my flop is not the same.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. The hip hop journalist who criticized Drake all day was like, "Yeah, man, we loving Cardi B." I was like, it's kind of weird.
The podcasters, the retired rappers, the ones that are about the bars, and I just watched all of it because I said, this is not a good track.
And they think black women are dumb. So I don't care what people do with people who are less real with the pen. Like if people like, oh, this person's less real, that's it with the Drake thing. That's fine. But I find it very bizarre that a woman who isn't black, y'all say she is. Now, she has black ancestry. That's not the same thing. Let me give you an example. Joe Manganiello has black ancestry. Is he black? Tell me in the chat. Say one, or just say yes or no. Say yes if Joe Manganiello, who has black ancestry, is he black or is he not? I want y'all to let me know in the chat. So it's a sickness in the industry, even when you saw Diddy calling J-Lo black. And it's even worse.
Yeah, they do this all the time.
J-Lo got less percentage of black than Cardi B.
Listen, and she ain't got no soul. She said, I'm still Jenny from the block. That old Puerto Rican guy says, who are you? I don't know you. Look, folks, I mean, if you keep, these people that are talking about the industry and fake writers and the music, and we have to preserve the art. Cardi B is not the art. A-R-T. She's not the art. End of story. I thought we understood this. I thought this was very easy, very simple.
And we thought that hip-hop personalities don't compete with people who are actually rapping and writing. Imagine if Flavor Flav came out here like, I don't know, saying he want to go up against Rakim, but let me even make it harder for you because they're going to say obviously. But even name somebody who's not as lyrical as Rakim, but they write their own shit. Who you got? Who would you name? Somebody who write this stuff, but they not as lyrical as Rakim.
Well, he's dead, but I'll use Shawty Lo.
Shawty Lo.
That's Shawty Lo. Rest in peace.
Shawty Lo wrote his own stuff. So let's say Flavor Flav like, yeah, boy. Somebody can write for me and I can go up against Shawty Lo. Oh, well. Yeah, boy. And then somebody said, well, Shawty Lo ain't on the same level as Rakim, so it's okay.
Shawty Lo is a joke. Shawty Lo's a joke. Listen, man, I mean, we sit back and we watch it a lot of times. Listen, it's nothing personal. It's really just all business, players. Like, I cannot deal with the energy. People wanted you to make these videos about Drake all day. Fine, get your money. Black man, go get your money. Black woman, go get your money.
Get your money, black man.
But I tell folks all the time, you better not get into that red letter.
Because she doesn't create any art.
You better not get into that red letter shaming of people's energies. I saw people going as to far last year questioning Black Americans' blackness if they said, oh, yeah, I like Nothing Was the Same. I saw people get hot and bothered and angry and vicious. I saw people block folks and everything. I said, oh, yeah, man, this is stupid. But I said, yo, they're going to play themselves. I told Sin this last year. I said, because Cardi hasn't come outside with her album, and I want to see, will you guys keep the same eviction rate?
The eviction rate got to be high because here's the weirdo thing about it. Ye is a fashion designer. He's from the fashion side of hip-hop. And as a producer, he doesn't write his rhymes, though. Then you had other people where you could put in different categories. So some people create their own fashion designs. Some people write their own bars. Some people produce the music. You do know, guys, that Cardi does nothing. Them beautiful outfits you see her in, she didn't design them. Them bars that people are talking about that they can't even remember, she didn't write them. The production she raps on top of, she doesn't produce. She's supposed to be, and if she's just a personality, then why can't it just stay there? There's something seriously wrong here. Because I'm not going to talk about the black thing for a moment. I'm just going to talk about just art. Cardi does not produce art. She doesn't create fashion. She's not a designer like Virgil or Ye or Pharrell. She doesn't produce. She's not a producer like Pharrell, Ye, Hit Boy, some of the other people you can name. She's not a pen person. She's not Quentin Miller. She's not anybody like anybody who writes.
No, it's just what I told you.
So
She's a
what does Cardi produce?
Nothing. Look, I mean, what you know, and then I guess the energy is like it's coming. Sid and I, we joked about this. We said the OVO birds are quiet right now. They're sitting in their tree branches watching all of it. So that's what we're doing. Look, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, and you know, I think this is also a byproduct of a lack of understanding and access to true music and music history, music theory. The reason why I'm making this statement because, you know, for me, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. The first record I think my mother bought me when I was a kid. She bought me a jazz joint, and then she purchased The Nutcracker by Peter Tchaikovsky. Now, I'm not one of these people, oh, you're much more sophisticated because you listen to classical music. No, there's serial killers that listen to classical music, okay? That don't mean nothing to me. I don't live like that. I don't have a classist mentality when it comes to music.
Although we do, you got to respect the high level that jazz and classical music. To me, those two genres are one of the most technically advanced genres out of any other.
Two of my favorite genres I will always put before hip-hop. It's only because the back end of where hip-hop turns into Captain Pollutant. It turns into Bizarro. Not only that, I feel they cheat too many fantastic artists, women, specifically black women first, and then also dope black men that are artists that get blackballed or Z-listed from the industry. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because also foresight for a lot of people when you only just listen to this form of rap, you have a limited spectrum of a conversation within hip hop, but you run into hip hop very wrong with your opinion,
and
right?
Add to that too. One could say, what does she produce in choreography? She's not a bad dancer, Cardi, but like what we're saying here, there's nothing that's being produced. So you don't choreograph the dances, you don't create the designs for the beautiful outfits you wear. You don't write any of the bars, and then you don't produce any of the sound. It sounds like somebody strikes out all the deadly sins,
right,
to not be in hip hop.
No, Sid is correct about that. And the reason why I'm bringing this up about the spectrum and the scope of music history, also, if you have like more of a variety in your palette with music, just in general, and even the different eras of music, it also a lot of times it can make you less judgmental. So, like, for instance, when I see Soulja Boy popped up, and I remember I saw, like, all of the OGs was, like, really cutting up, and the boy found his way onto technology, right? But they was like, man, this. I said, whoa. Even my mama, when, because she a boomer. She had us late. So, even when I talked to her, I said, but they had Uncle Rufus and the Funky Chicken. And she said, babe, you're right. We had a lot of those dances. We had my sister, older. She talked about the Cabbage Patch. So the Kwame and the Polka Dots. The problem is when we talk about corporate rap and corporate culture and rap, what it did, it created a distillery. So all of the fine, black, exquisite talent was distilled out. What you do get is a bit of residue, like with Cardi B, and then you kind of got to go like, oh well, she can dance. Like, think about like what we have to do to kind of she can dress.
Well, and
right?
Add to what we're saying here. We're in really bad times. I don't care about people being popular or people being pushed to be popular. McDonald's is popular. It's fine. If you're really good at doing business, that's fine. The problem is, I'm sorry, the Grammys is doodle. What they did with the Cardi thing, with her album competing against other hip hop artists that actually write. And that's the problem. It's the arts portion of it that is the problem. See, when people with personalities, if they be personalities, get their money, be influencers, have fun, I don't care about them. Not a problem. It's when now you're trying to compete in critical spaces with critical acclaim.
Right.
So
yes.
now people who write, they don't even get their credit as being writers. People who come up with the choreography, they don't even get their credit as choreographers. People who produce the music, they don't give their credit for producing the music. And it goes on and on and on and on. That's a problem. See, people forget, like corny ass people in rap and these fan clubs, they think it's about only popularity. They're not comprehending that popularity, whatever, that's not the problem. It's when now you're losing structure, where now you're saying people who are only focused on technique and they are the producers of the world, you want them to compete with popularity. You're retarded. Why are you telling people who produce to go out there and compete just because somebody's popular? You're not. Your brain cells are dying. Because, okay, I'll give you an example when it comes to things even more important in society. Let's go with, when you're talking about firefighters or whatever. That's like saying, somebody in media, yeah, I mean, fuck them firefighters. Who give a fuck? Them nurses and all that. I'm more people know my name. I'm more popular in society. You bum bitches are not important because you're nurses, you're doctors that nobody know about, you're construction workers that nobody know about.
Yeah.
If you really apply that same slow logic into other areas of life, you will see how stupid it is.
No. She's right about that, and I'm gonna tell you something real quick. Now, I'm not a musician that is competing for the Grammys, because the general public, the layman, when they say, well, the Grammys don't mean anything. Absolutely. Somebody, working at the post office, somebody going to the store, somebody that's like, I think I owe child support. Like, they don't care about that.
I'm talking about what they've done.
But
with how the categories, how sloppy they were, how they compete popularity versus people who
remember
actually produces, writing and all that.
Yeah, you remember the music industry definition of genres was based on racism, because the first genre they had was race music, officially. Right, so you're right about that. The only thing I'm just talking about it from this perspective. In 1989, Quincy Jones won a Grammy for the album "Back on the Block," classic album. Right, cool. Another jazz musician will look at that. It was like, man, that's what I want to do. I want to, Herbie Hancock, Rocket Power, like, not Rocket Power, Rocket. And I'm thinking about the cartoon, Herbie Hancock, Rocket, right? And, Herbie Hancock sonically is a pioneer of hip hop sound, even down today with all of the techniques we're hearing from Metro Boomin, right? Here's the problem, though. Now, if I look at, old speeches from 1989, or I look at Michael Jackson's legendary picture with him just flossing with all the shiny glove, the shiny jacket, and the shiny Grammys, and he's coming off of this incredible win, off this fantastic body of art, of course that's going to be inspiring to musicians, right? Here's the problem, though. If I look up and, I see that Kendrick wins Grammys for Damn, and I'm like, man, that's crazy. Pulitzer Prize, that's crazy, right? And we turn around and Cardi B's there.
That's what I'm saying.
And
that means
not,
the Grammys don't mean nothing. If
right.
If Grammys is supposed to be okay, in the Oscars, like people who are not known in like categories that nobody know about,
right?
But they're like, wow, me producing art from my bare hands.
Yes,
it's being appreciated,
yeah.
Even though I'm not popular. I'm not Mission Impossible 1, 3, 2, 4. I'm not any of the popular Marvel films.
There you go.
But at least I'm being seen as somebody who creates from my own self. I create for my team. Everybody who chip in, we do it all together. I wrote the score. They directed it. Like, we are being seen. The Grammys lost that. So when you see, like you said, all these brilliant people who did their part, you know, you see the Quincy's, you see the Prince, you see all that. You go look at the other categories. You see a Tupac, or you see a Kendrick, or you see a Biggie or whatever. Then you're like, man, that's okay. Yeah. And then also people who are not as popular who win Grammys, like, yeah, I really work. Cardi B.
Yeah, that's
I'm like, bro, I don't give a fuck about this award. What the hell is this? That I mean,
because I mean,
she can get an award too. Okay.
And the danger part about rap, and I want to be clear, I don't have the mindset where I judge an artist based on how many trophies they won. But if they are a very accredited, gifted artists, you know, like we seen with Nina and like I brought up with Quincy, or even down to Kendrick. And then they win the body of work to me, based on their body of work, it that's the value of the Grammy to me.
Thundercats and all that.
Yeah. So when I see all of this stuff, so here's the problem with rap though. Rap deteriorates so bad. It deteriorates so fast. Look how fast it's deteriorated, just this whole notion of a Grammy, from To Pimp a Butterfly to now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're talking about in the history of music, there's music styles that have been around for hundreds of years, centuries. Rap, if you want to talk about rap and hip hop, it's 50 years old, 51 years old. And we're already stuck between Tekashi's and Cardi B's.
Yeah, the Grammys is supposed to be the only place where popular, true artists and non-popular, true artists can show up at the same event and win awards. But unfortunately now, unpopular, true artists have to compete with popular, non-artists.
Yeah, and the reason why, and people keep doing this weird sexism stuff, like they use women in the energy. When the criticism is appropriate, you feel like, oh, I'm a woman. No, you guys are marketing Cardi B against Lauryn Hill. Nicki and Cardi, yeah, they got their stuff online. But even if we're talking about in the okay, people say, oh, well, Cardi's been here for 8 years with 2 albums.
Which would have been okay if she was an artist.
Yeah, with 2 albums and the quality of the albums.
Yeah, and she's not an artist. Artists. I waited 5 years for my. Like people was crying about how long it took for SZA to come out with her second album. I'm like, she writes, so who cares? Like when she gets it out, she gets it out. Although she said she was having issues that time with her label, but it's like, you're not an artist.
Yeah, because the reason why I'm bringing it up, I know the illusion, of course, with all this Rock Nation, all this industry war stuff, and with Nicki and all the stuff, but I'm telling you all, the real agenda is Cardi versus Lauryn Hill.
I also think the views for the Grammys keep going downhill. I think they don't understand they sold their soul. When you supposed to be like popular artists, and again, a non-scene artist, and whether it's because they're independent or whatever the case may be, they all come together. And the more you go away from that, and I think it's also their delusions. They think, oh, we need more popular artists for our views to go up. I think y'all got too spoiled with Michael Jackson. Y'all had somebody who was wildly popular, but also an artist. And he worked with other artists, fabulous legends like Quincy Jones and all that. I think y'all got spoiled, and y'all got off. You got the high off of that, and now it was to a point where even if they're not an artist, I gotta look for someone popular. I gotta look. Where's my another cocaine shot? Like it's. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, the reason why I'm bringing this up, I want to put this on the table for y'all because here's the thing. So here is Cardi B surpasses Lauryn Hill in her latest Billboard accomplishment. Now, I want y'all to look at this title here and look how it's marketed. Cardi B surpasses Lauryn Hill. Now, remember, Lauryn Hill is a classically trained musician. She's a classically trained vocalist, actually, right?
Vocalist and writer.
The marketing here is that somehow Cardi B artistically is equatable to Lauryn Hill, and they do this. They did this when they rolled Nicki out. They do this when they feel they want to make a statement. The statement is this: everybody knows, as far as the zenith of black women in rap, in hip hop, and of course, Lauryn Hill does a lot of other stuff, just like Queen Latifah. But Queen Latifah had a very powerful pronouncing career in Hollywood. She still got like a couple classic body of work and a jazz album under her belt. But they know the industry. This is how hateful they are towards you all. The industry knows what Lauryn Hill actually represents.
And so they want to destroy that. I give you an example, because it's not about who you don't like. It's about, are they an artist? And what are you going to dink them for? If it still stands to be true that Nicki writes her stuff, her bars, why would you have her compete with someone who don't write their bars like Iggy or Cardi?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you don't like her. Personal issues and what she's did and what she's doing in other areas is a separate conversation. Like when we talked over the years about her husband and her brother, and how it was disgusting what we saw with how Nicki was defending her brother. We said it's one thing before your brother gets convicted to feel like he's not guilty, but you don't taunt the little girl. That's disgusting. But that's another conversation, and we've had that conversation. When you're talking about the music, right? Even if you think she's below Lauryn Hill, which I think Nicki is below Lauryn Hill, she's not above Lauryn Hill, right? You still judged for the fact that she writes her own stuff. The fact that now people are trying to make it about morality, Cardi, boyfriend who impregnated her, has a lot of rape cases. When you go based off of morality, what morality? That is an amoral space there. Charlemagne had a rape case of what happened with Jessica Reed. Cardi B drugged dudes that from her own mouth. That's what she said. I love Chuck Berry, but he recorded women peeing in the bathroom, and one of the women were underage. So if you having a morality conversation, then sorry,
there's a lot of people getting off that table.
Most people in your playlist are going home.
Yeah, being honest with you.
But if you're talking about
music,
the music,
it's actually easier to call.
It's very easy to call. It's simple. Cardi doesn't produce zero. Is donuts. It's donuts. And take morality out of the side, she's even worse than Diddy. It's donuts.
Yeah, and that's all because they keep doing this Lauryn Hill thing, and the public keeps falling for it.
Right. Also,
so
with Nicki with do you drive fast cars?
Tracy Chapman. Yeah, they did the same thing with Tracy Chapman.
We also do a level when it comes to people who actually produce their own thing. And I'm glad you brought up Shorty Low, right? Mm-hmm. For example, I respect Shorty Low. He came up with his own stuff. But if I say, who's the better artist, it's Rakim. So you see how, if Nicki writes all her stuff and people compare her to Tracy and Lauryn Hill, it's like, absolutely not. They're far superior. Yes, that's good. I'm glad. Nicki writes her own stuff. She produces her rights. That's great.
Now we're going into we're talking about musicianship.
Right. Now you're going into the hierarchy of the art.
Yeah, I think it's one of the Jam Brothers. He talked about how dope Prince Rogers Nelson was. Is that they were bidding for the same position in high school. He said they weren't friends. He said that Prince played some record on the guitar, and he said he hit every note. Right? So he said he got off the drums to go to the restroom. He hears somebody tearing the drums up. He come back as Prince. And he said, look, Prince handed him the drumsticks. He's like, bro, I don't want nothing you're on. He said, that's what he said. He's like, yo, you are really that good. And
he's one of the
prodigies.
He's one of the greatest artists of all time. Even with his debut album, And I mean,
Yes, Tay.
mainstream debut album, not the one where he just had the afro, but the debut mainstream album he did all of the he produced everything.
Yeah.
So when y'all hearing, I wanna be your lover, I wanna hear you, I'll make you all that stuff, and then the drums, the guitar, like he's doing everything.
Yeah, he is. Look, I don't know. Listen. I don't really have the same. I'm not a fan club boy like that. I'm not a fanboy. Yeah, the album you're talking about, saying it's the For You. Yeah, For You. This is the one where Prince played every instrument on this album. All right. And look, I'm not a fan club boy like that. I enjoy musicians. I enjoy art. And also, look, man, I told you I like the Young Nudie album. But there ain't no way in hell I would ever say Young Nudie lyrically is superior to T.I., even if we're just keeping it in the sub-genre of trap and post-trap music.
I'm glad you brought up that, because that's a great point. In other professions, that doesn't happen.
Right.
When you go to culinary arts,
Yes.
right? It don't matter if I ate a fucking cheeseburger and I'm like, this is a good junk food. It's a good cheeseburger. It can't compete with people who are actually chefs in the culinary arts. Why do you think a cheeseburger costs $1 versus restaurants that are highly skilled, where you got to pay $300 in some of these restaurants for a damn steak? Or, at the very least, if you're talking about ones that are a little bit more favorable to the general public, even though, again, great cuisine, I got to also count inflation. Even a good steak there, if you're not from the really, really crazy ones with 300, stuff like that, $50 or something like that. So to act like that shouldn't apply to music is ridiculous. Like, if you like, it's like what I love Scooby, and because he's a very honest guy. He's like, he liked Cardi B's album. I don't care if he likes Cardi B album. I think Scooby should be able to be allowed to enjoy Cardi B's album, because some of us, we once in a while we do like some junk food shit. But I ain't going to compare it, and he doesn't compare it to people who are actually culinary artists. These are people who are skilled, gifted chefs in music that you don't compare, like a Nudie, a Cardi, or whatever. You don't compare it to them other people.
And I like Nudie's music better than Cardi, but that's my personal mood preference. And I'm okay with mood, because, there are moods people are into. Sometimes you don't want to. There's a lot of times I don't want to hear a lot of voices. That's why a lot of times I always gravitate towards instrumentation or just instrumentals. Even in hip hop, there are times I don't want to hear people talking all the time, right? But what the corporate industry culture does is they try to convince you that Prince, Roger Nelson, and Justin Timberlake are comparable. That's what they do. They do those things. That's why they gas Justin Timberlake up to keep shooting at Prince.
You Michael?
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake.
They kept gassing.
Michael,
yeah, because they was telling him what
would they tell
Prince?
Better than Janet?
Where's the standard in a business that said all publicity is good publicity? Where's the standard there? You're in a business that literally says, bro, if Prince gets smart with you, get smart with him back. This is great publicity, JT. It's good for the album.
So to just wrap it up in this way. No, I'm not saying, I'm just wrapping up the point. If you are going based off morality, Cardi is not better than Nicki. They're both bad. If you going based off of who man is a sexual assaulter, they both got that. If you going on temperament and people not being of civility, it's across the board. There ain't no win. There's no win in the morality game in that sense. I see a lot of people trying to play those cards online. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? They're both loud.
Yeah. Well, listen, look, I'll just, it's a disservice to hip hop the way they are pushing for this online. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is why you didn't hear as much as you should have from No Name. This is why as long as Jean Grey has been a vet in the game, and she damn near got a perfect body of work.
Rhapsody got
Right.
classic albums.
Look, it's just what it is, and that's why I said, like, y'all move how y'all need to move. You want to listen to any of these albums, listen to them, because remember, in the same business, remember, this is all show business. What happens is these tentacles come into you all's areas. So, like, when y'all build y'all own little groups on Reddit, and y'all like, hey guys, this is the boom bap, retro boom bap Reddit forum, right? Somebody from the industry will put their artists in, and they will, hey man, have you guys checked out such and such? Nah, never heard of them. Yo, they never miss.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, that's what happens. And actually that is what happened with the whole Cardi situation. Let's be real. If Cardi was to launch her career on motorsport with just the Migos without Nicki Minaj, do you all feel it would still have the same effect today?
No.
Because,
Nicki
like Sam
Minaj,
brought up excellently,
she wrote her verse. It was
that was
good
a
verse.
shell company.
Yeah.
They knew when they was putting Nicki Minaj on motorsport that they were going to use all of that for clout. I'm just asking you all, if you take Nicki off that track and still have everybody in their biker board gear and put Lawrence Fishburne in the video, does Cardi's career have the same effect? Does Cardi's career have the same effect without the existence of Nicki Minaj?
Or Kodak Black's bars. And again, I'm not talking about morality because Kodak Black is very anti-black and he also bit a woman and rape and all that. But keeping it on the music for right now, she don't get nowhere without Kodak Black. She don't get nowhere without Nicki Minaj. She don't get anything without anybody who.
Being real, like this is what we're talking about here. Think about what's going on. The sales were being projected low, right? I'm telling you all. I'm watching the Cardi. I'm watching it in real time. Overall, I genuinely didn't care about Cardi. Indifferent. The last time I remember Cardi is how she looked a little bit differently on the reality shows. I was like, okay, one rapper was bound to make it off of one of the reality shows, right? Since the rappers were going to it. But Cardi put out the record. She did the thing responding back to JT or whatever the case is. They've been going back and forth. I still think JT got the best of her. She did her thing with Bia, right? And then guess what? People's like, yay, Cardi. It got lukewarm, results, and people, they was like, hey, she's doing a good job, all this other stuff, right? Somebody said, diss Nicki Minaj on Young Thug's album. Remember, her diss towards Nicki was not on her album. Why? Why?
They thought that they could set it up to take Nicki out, but they forget that Cardi cannot take Nicki out because it's like, if you're talking about image-wise, before we get to who right, is McDonald's and Burger King.
Pretty much.
Then when you get in who can write, Nicki actually does write, Cardi don't. But image-wise is Burger King and McDonald's, right? Image-wise. How the hell can Cardi take out Nicki when everything you could say outside of writing, with the exception of writing, everything you say that's a flaw with Nicki is a flaw with Cardi? Oh, the husband, the boyfriend, boom, both strike there.
Well,
who did it? Boom, strike there.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what this is. Let's slow this down one more time so y'all can get. Because remember, Sid and I, we talked about what was going on the back end with radio right now. I'm gonna paint this picture for y'all so y'all can really see what's going on with the Shell company, Shelby B. Okay, she dropped her album. They told her, don't say anything about Nicki on the album because they wanted to see, they didn't want her rollout to be entangled with Nicki because people in the industry, they got better sense than the artists and the fans.
They didn't want to say that Nicki just made Cardi album sell. That's why, yeah.
Right. But also, Cardi didn't get these numbers where they said she was going to be breaking everybody's record because, again, they want to do something outside of the whole Drake and Kendrick scope right now. So they was bigging Cardi up, and then there's this background noise with Jay-Z and Rock Nation, and we told you all he was supposed to be on the Clips album.
You know what? What you're saying is also 100% fact. They wanted a person who can't write like Kendrick to try to perform a Kendrick act. Yeah. So you notice how Kendrick's diss records towards Drake wasn't on his album because they didn't want people didn't want people to say that GNX only did well because
of Drake.
Because of Drake, right? Oh, Kendrick could pull that off because he actually writes. When you try to do the same thing for Cardi against Nicki, ain't nobody going to care because she don't write. So what's your who cares?
It's not going to work. And so what's happening right now, because they still want to sell, though, remember, these people are in the business of making money. So right now, they want to have Cardi's album to sell more with this engagement with Nicki now. That's the second phase of her campaign, because she dissed Nicki on Young Thug's album, who Young Thug already was having clout because of this whole Ghana controversy, snitch, rat, all this other stuff, Ratlando, right? So the opposite kind of happened. A lot of Nicki's old stuff, when she got into it with Cardi, her stuff started going number one.
Because Nicki has the better music. Even when people were trying to say, I was like, I knew something was didn't seem right when it was like, Cardi stuff, her album is better than any Nicki album. I went and checked. I was like, no, it's not. And even when it comes to female MCs, Nicki isn't like the best one to me in catalog. But like her Pink Print and all that, that's better than all of Cardi's stuff. So I don't know what they're talking about with that. But Prince got a point, because Nicki overall got better music. All it did was just make Nicki stuff go up. Now, if you see, for you to pull that off, you got to have somebody who's really like an MC. Like if you had like Rhapsody or somebody with that energy, just anybody who can rap, who actually write their stuff, and they go up against Nicki, then then you could do the template of what Kendrick team did. You can apply it, but you can't apply what Kendrick's team did to Cardi, because Cardi is not Kendrick.
Yeah, so and what they're doing now is that they want her to perform in this way, and what's happening though is Cardi is getting beat up online. You gotta remember, Twitter's something else. It's 50% bot. I take everything not with a grain of salt, but the truck of salt. Because when I go up under the JT videos with the song, they all saying they like the record. They say, yo, she cooked it. When we go into other social media platforms, they're saying JT did cook Cardi.
It's only on X for some interesting reason where magically...
And it's 50% botting over there.
It doesn't apply.
Okay. So look.
50% grok.
Yeah, that's what they say. So look, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, Be More in Sin, they will be live. They're going to be
doing our astrology chart reading.
Doing the astrology chart reading. We already have everything set up.
Yeah, for people in the think tank, no, we didn't create it yet.
Oh, we didn't create it? Oh, no. My goodness.
You can exit out the other tabs and pull it up. I don't want to know too much thing, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, so what we're going to do, you guys, I want y'all guys to get over there tonight. Matter of fact, I might have to do this right now. I'm gonna let Sin talk.
No, yeah, some of the people who allegedly, and I say allegedly because I'm not gonna say 100% because I don't know yet, but some of the people who claim to be in some form of allegiance or that really love Kendrick music, but they're part of the industry, they keep trying to use the Kendrick template to people who don't write.
It don't work.
Yeah, or it's weird. It's weird. Like it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get. I get it. You don't like Young Money. Great. There's a lot of rappers that are unlikable. I would say most of them are in their personal life, whether they're dope or not, right? I get it. But you still can't think that every strategy, this strategy worked because it's just a good strategy. No. A good strategy also means knowing which people can pull off the strategy. That is a part of the strategy. You don't just say, oh, man, this was a great strategy that works for my guy who is actually really good at what he does. Man, all I got to do is use that same strategy, but for somebody else who cannot write or do what Kendrick does, which is a stupid way of thinking. You should have came up with your own unique strategy with Cardi B in this war wigs, and instead of trying to think the same shit is going to work.
Or you also could just be consistent in your message. If these people argued last year that we only want the real lyricists to come outside, and I will say for the Jizz and the Joey Badass, even his performance with the West Coast and all of the guys that came out from the West, It was looking like that at first. It was kind of looking like that, but I'm gonna be honest with you all. This Cardi B fighting for her, fight for her rights, Cardi B, it is literally undoing the major conversation people was having in hip hop at this year, the end of last year and the beginning of this year. It's literally undoing all of that. That's why I said, and I would say, hey man, people need to go have fun and live their life. Enjoy whatever. Even if you want to listen to Cardi. I don't really care like that, but when they start saying Cardi is a lyricist, and that is how she's being marketed, because you're being marketed against a supreme lyricist like Lauryn Hill.
Charlamagne is a hitman from the industry.
He
He's
is.
paid to go after people just like, and I don't even, I'm not praising Joe Budden, but you saw what he did with his Spotify deal.
Yeah.
His mission is to
He
take
crashed
out,
out.
is to take out Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
So it don't matter if somebody's a black woman from the United States who write her own bars. It don't matter who they are. He's there to be like, JT was mad. He's there to try to like pivot everybody's opinion and herd the sheep into being completely in favor of a Cardi B. Now, this is not to say JT is a big Nicki fan. You know what Dope said on the other stream that, JT may want to work with Nicki. That could be possible. But Cardi still shot fires at JT and at Uzi Vert.
Well, even with that, I'm glad that what you said in response when you was having that conversation, a great point you brought up. They're tied to Jay-Z, Beyonce. I mean, let's stop it. Like, let's wrap this up about like who is tied to who. They all tied to each other.
I think Rock Nation, Jay-Z, and Beyonce messed up here. I don't care about Jay-Z and Beyonce and Nicki's war because I don't know these people.
No.
And I told you, my life is not about trying to save people I don't know. You could try to save someone and they anemic to you. So I'm not into that. I don't care about Nicki issues with Jay-Z and vice. I think Dwan B did a great job even when he talked about Nicki and Jay-Z. But Rock Nation messed up when they
Royally.
did the Cardi B thing. It
The
was
Cardi challenge.
very stupid. Megan last year, a black American woman from the South, when she did it was fabulous. It was great. It was straight to the point. She did her subliminals towards Drake and the Baby. She did her subliminals and straight shots to Nicki Minaj. What Rock Nation did, I know people who behind Rock Nation, they think they're killing it.
No.
But that Cardi B thing, like
This is actually hurting everything.
anybody who's an op.
Go ahead. Say that part again. Say your part again.
Let me see what I said. Okay, so
Everything that you're looking to build up, that you built up last year.
Rock Nation made a major mistake last year. They looked very strong. Kendrick writes all his bars.
Right.
Beyonce is an icon and a gifted artist. She could sing well. All this stuff, the dancing, everything. Right. Jay-Z and Rock Nation looked strong with their strategy last year. People don't comprehend that the Cardi B stuff, even coming into the beginning of this year with the clips, what you doing with Cardi is now uprooting all of that culture, black stuff
It's
that
over.
everybody was yapping about last year. Basically, preserving the culture and writers and all this stuff. Now is being uprooted through Cardi. So anybody who's ops of Rock Nation, they have a beautiful window. It's like what the anti-Rock Nation people though, their problem is articulation though. They're really
They sometimes
They
they're
got-
a little bit emotional.
they-
They can be a little too gun ho.
Yeah, they got diarrhea mouths. So they'll say one thing that is a good strategy to like go after Jay-Z and them, and then the next sentence they'll say something retarded and it's all wonky.
Well,
But
yeah,
I think the only thing that Rock Nation and Jay-Z and them and everybody who's talking about the pro-black stuff last year, the only thing they lucky about is that so far in media, all the people who are pro Nicki and all these other people, they're just not really good at articulating why Rock Nation and all of them are messing up right now. And they're not clearly showing the hypocrisies with Neon, with Fantano, with the Cardi B stuff. They're just not good at it. But it still is a bad move. And this Cardi stuff with the right person and the right person to articulate it would blow it up all in their face.
I think it's happening now. I actually think that's why they're so emotional right now online. Like, you know, even when your thought crimes, man, y'all used to be good. Hey, nigga, it's not my problem that you got somebody that talked to cockroaches and y'all say she a black woman. Like, you guys even think about like the displacement of black women in rap. Again, I told y'all, like, y'all going overboard with all of this stuff. Who black and who ain't black? Y'all went right down to the DNA. Then the people said it's about hip hop. It's about the rules of hip hop. Cardi B don't get to abide. She don't have to abide by none of the rules. She another one with diplomatic immunity. So yeah, absolutely the Cardi situation. But we told folks from the very beginning. We said Nicki was going to be a hailstorm for folks, and you know why I said what I said, because I knew they were going to make their move to levy Cardi B's energy against Nicki. And Cardi B is inarticulate online in general, and she's already said too much that can be used against her. And again, if you're running this campaign that you're pro-black woman, you pro-black people,
And you pro-black man.
and you pro-black man, and you about black excellent, black business, we about black hip-hop. Hip-hop is a black, even some of the corporate folks, the corporation people are now talking about hip-hop is black American. Last year, they were telling people, oh, y'all on that pro-black shit. This year, they like, nah. So what we're seeing right now is something that was supposed to happen, because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the industry. We're not in it, but that is the industry. It's like what's Sim brought up. In the 70s, they had popular gay disco singers. In the 80s and 90s, they became the outcasts, right? We just saw it in the early 2000s all the way up to, I guess, the previous administration. Trans women, gays, LGBTQ, all of these things. Under this administration, everybody's going in the opposite direction. Same thing with the music. Here's the thing. Holding true to the art and the craft, and like being a purist, which is what some of these people is wearing their hats as purists. The reality of a purist a lot of times when it comes to their art, the craft, and the technique, it's painful. It's painful. It's an acquired level of pain that an artist that's a purist has to deal with over and over, breaking their bones over and over. For the industry goers and the industry showboaters, right, they don't have time for that. So that's why they was like, all right, you know, we look cool getting Drake out of here, but Cardi still lives remnants of a lifestyle that we are more compatible with through capitalistic endeavors. So we're going to kind of give her the pass on certain things to keep her here. And we're actually going to kind of fight with her. And then we're going to throw all these tropes in there about women rap. We went online. Sid and I was tweeting. Both of us was tweeting from the same account. But we was just gathering, we was just looking like, oh, okay, that one boy said, well, none of the women rap, so what does it matter, right? None of the women write their rap, so what does it matter? And then some of the other people were saying, how dare you use a girls' battle to try to bring Drake back? And I was like, wow, that's crazy. You guys are really trying to hold true to Shilly Vanilli. She don't write. Like
Shilly Vanilli.
Yeah,
That's
like,
a good one.
yeah. I mean, that's crazy. Like, you guys are really like there's nothing to bring Drake back. He didn't really.
No, to add to
You know what I'm saying? But
to add to your point, it don't matter if you're a purist. If you start to be about that life where you start to hold other hip hop purists underwater while you are hip hop purist yourself, you become Talib Kweli.
There you go, man.
So all the pro Rock Nation people, it don't matter who the hell they are. If they keep pushing with this Cardi B campaign, they become Talib Kweli. Does Talib write his own stuff? Yes, he does. Did he block black women? Yes, he did. Do he love white people? Yes. Did he help Ben Shapiro get on, arguing him on X all day, before known as Twitter? Yes. Talib is a hip-hop purist who does a lot of anti-black stuff for business and money. So you know what that makes all the pro-Rock Nation people? The same.
Yeah,
if they continue to go down in this direction.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, again, Sin and Be More will be live tonight at 7 o'clock for the esoteric tier. You guys sign up for that. They're going to be Astrology Talk episode 12. They back at it again. Also, Dre says that Prince is because some of the Kendrick diehard are fucking zealots. You know what? I'm seeing zealots on a lot of sides, but I am see the guy that we was going back and forth with. He had a Kendrick avatar, and he made no sense. I'm like, bro, you got Kendrick in your avatar. You were literally undoing the points that was made in that battle last year for Cardi B. It's crazy.
Yeah, and to you, Dre, to be fair, you are Barb. So I want to make everybody know, I'm glad that you admitted it yesterday, but you're part of a zealot crew too. Okay?
Actually, Dre 7 been around for a minute.
No, Dre in the chat, he's very chill.
Yeah, Dre been around for a moment.
He makes sometimes some good points, but I'm saying he's still a part of a zealot crew because the Barbs are zealots. So Dre 7 is still a Barb, so I just wanted to make that clear. Yeah. And yes, there are Kendrick zealots as well who out there pretending as if they don't see what's going on and being hypocrites. If you only love one person, you are not a culturalist. People who are for a culture is community. They're not about one person, like some neos, one person. If you're for one person, you're a zealot. So, but Dre 7, he did admit a couple of days ago, I think on the last live show, that he is a Barb. So, Dre 7, you are zealot in that sense.
Well, yeah, listen, no, it's good because even the guy that was going back and forth with me, I was like, man, he was tight about it. I wasn't. I said, bro, you got Kendrick in your avatar. I mean, let's be real. Like a lot of people, well, that's what we said. A lot of people was hiding by Kendrick in that. They was hiding behind that man in that avatar, and they didn't mean none of the things that they were anathematizing everybody else about.
We'll see if people make themselves look like Talib Kweli.
But anyway, y'all, I really think that I think this Cardi B situation and how a lot of the pseudo hip hop purists, I just think they're trendable, topical hip hop purists, and it's cool if you want to do that too. But back up. I think people need to give folks 50 feet and get out of people's face, online. And I think people should be able to enjoy hip hop because right now the corporations have made it Alcatraz. Okay. And, they say they want to bring them alligators back. Okay, folks, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, Sin and Beamer, I'm going to get off now because I don't want to drag over too long because they do have to double back around a little bit later on today. And I want Sin to be able to get her some rest on top of that. But, folks, y'all can leave your comments below and tell me what do you think about this, the rap culture, what's been going on. Be sure to like and subscribe as well. Do the same thing for Thought Crimes. I'll support the Dummies Cauldron YouTube channel and the Dummies Cauldron Patreon. And you guys know we're always on Patreon if y'all don't see us on YouTube or we're uploading elsewhere as well, folks.
Also, real quick, just to answer Dope's question before we go. Cardi, label-wise, is not under Rock Nation. Rock Nation was just promoting her and, and all that. She's under the same label, I believe, as Young Thug Ass. So I think that's her label. But
Live Nation is going through a lawsuit right now too, by the way. So that does include Rock Nation is a part of Live Nation. So there's some things going on in the music industry right now too. That's a real big thing that all of this too, by the way, people are not being able to pay attention to.
Live Nation is also in trouble because they said that artists stage and different things don't be safe all the time.
Yeah, that's been kind of a little bit of a known thing in the industry.
Prince and I, we try not, and we all emotional beings, even though I forgot the person name earlier. I was trying to pretend they too cool for school, but they say bullshit, fucking crying in our fucking chat.
Yeah.
We're all emotional beings, but we
course.
try to look past
That's what makes art good.
some of that stuff to see if there's any truth anybody's saying. When Prince and I analyzed Nicki's rant, we was like, okay, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. She's a hypocrite. Talk about remove Jay-Z from the NFL, but you kissing Jerry Jones ass. Hypocrite. Oh, what is this? Live Nation. So when Prince and I are reading anybody's tweets, whether they're a favorable person or not, we look to see where is the truth somewhere or something like that. So that's what we're analyzing in Nicki's stuff, because some people saying she ain't saying nothing. There's a lot of nothing true, but there's some things that she is saying as well. And you also got to be careful about that, because first of all these industry people lie. They lie about something. It's the business of lying. So I'm not saying that everything Nicki's saying is true, because it's not. Like, even when she's delusional, talking about somehow, with the husband, his brother, and all this other stuff. Where the truth is, though, is the things that she's saying about some of the industry workings. When she said, like, it wasn't safe when she was on concert, it's true, because she's not the only one saying that. Because you can't rely when one person says something, like, nah, because one person could be lying. There are so many people who are talking about the unsafe practices with Live Nation when it comes to these concerts and stuff. So that's what I'm paying attention to.
Yeah, so it's very simple here, folks. People are lying about the Cardi situation. You have bots on Twitter promoting a narrative. JT did cook Cardi. She cooked her. JT cooked Cardi B in that regard. Bars were stronger than Hit or J3.
I'm glad.
So what are we talking about?
No, the people who be like, Headshot is dope, but then JT.
So that's what I'm saying. But you see what I'm talking about? What we do when the men are going at each other, like we start splitting the Red Sea like Moses. Yeah. Niggas, like, they be lagging behind the beat, and I'm just keeping it triller with y'all.
Just like we.
So I'm just telling y'all what this is. I've been watching this for a moment with a lot of this stuff, and if I'm talking about bars going back and forth, this, that, and third, I'm going to talk about the bars. I'm not here to go all over the place and make a bunch of disclaimers about everything, because that's all that's what got y'all here with this hip hop stuff in the first place. Everything outside of the music. I'm telling you for a fact, when I listened to Cardi B, people was there when I was reviewing Cardi B's album. I only got 7 tracks in. I said, I cannot do this. I'm too tired, number one, because I told you Streets and Shauna's joint was fire. I said it from the very beginning. You got to keep it on the music. Lyrically, folks, that's not what Cardi does. She's a rapper. She does her thing as a rapper, but what they do in the industry is they say, okay, well, we're going to compare you to everything else on the planet. Okay, fine, if you want to do that. But like I said, if y'all going to have that same level of judgment, then people overly glorify Hit or J3's bars last year. That's a fact. That's the reality of the situation is. People, what's the other boy, what's the one with the scribble shit on his face?
I don't know. Who got scribble shit on their face?
From GNX.
Oh, Lefty Gunplay. He can't rap. No.
Lefty Gunplay.
Nah, he's awful.
Bro, let's be real, y'all.
The dopest people on GNX is AZ Chike, and Peso can rap.
The Dodie 6 boy, but they say he got something going on mentally. I like Dodie 6 performance and AZ Chike. Those are the 2 guys I really liked from GNX. But people are doing all these things, and I'm like, all right, man, because if y'all really doing all of this extra stuff, then y'all need to judge everybody with a microphone in accordance. And we got to stop this. This is one of the reasons why Wynton Marsalis said he didn't respect how hip-hop is judged, how people move things around. And rap people got upset about it. They got emotional about it, but he was right. Y'all got Tekashi, y'all got all this other stuff out here, and then they turn around we heard last year with the Meg Thee Stallion. Meg Thee Stallion was probably one of the better spitters we didn't had in a long time, and we seen people close the books up on that one and move on forward.
Yeah,
So
and that's what the thing is. They being so stupid. It's easy to cook Nicki, but not with Cardi. Like, Thought Crime's not stupid. All of them manipulative. The pro Rock Nation people are big liars. They're manipulators, and so are the anti Rock Nation people. You think we stupid enough and think that, oh, Nicki just wants to get rid of Jay-Z because she said he's a coon. And what she's going to do is she going to really boycott the NFL or she's going to really help black people. No, she's not. She wants Cash Money Records and her people to be in that building. She's smooching up with what's his name for the Cowboys?
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones raced his ass, right? She's doing the same stuff that she accused Jay-Z of doing. So all that out the window, though. When you, the people who, though, last year who said it's about preserving the culture on bars, even if we say bars, let's get the morality part out the way. Let's just say even on bars, and you don't live up to that, and you try to turn Cardi B into your weapon to try to take Nicki down, well, guess what? You're making Nicki stronger. You saw them people laughing when, I forgot, was it Cheryl? She was like, the craziness that's going on with Nicki and Cardi, and they showed the Barney. Yeah. Everybody in the audience laughed because it's a circus show. To them, it's like, yo, Nicki actually was funny on X when she was cooking Cardi B. So it ain't no leverage there at all. If people, a lot of these pro Rock Nation people and these bots and stuff thinking, oh, we got some leverage here with Cardi against Nicki. No, you don't. You have zero leverage when you're using Cardi B to go after Nicki. If that wasn't the case, then it would be easy to iron out the things. Of course, that's Nicki's doing that. She's just throwing anything.
Well, I just want y'all to
see. She's just throwing anything to see if it sticks. Yeah. But again, using Cardi as the weapon, I was like, that's ridiculous.
Oh, it's already too late. I just think people are lying, and that's what I'm saying. If we just talking about the art, I judge across the board. All right, and I think people, especially the fellas, the industry fellas, y'all got to stop all this. Everything trash ass, because y'all rolling with Cardi B because y'all mad at Nicki.
Hitter was fire. Yeah. JT ass. Cardi was fire. My flop and your flop is not the same.
All right, niggas, because y'all don't like Nicki. I don't really care. I mean, I'm indifferent. I mean, we've been seeing Nicki cut up since people been in high school, okay?
She's been cutting up since I've been in high school, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, what's new? A long time ago, she wore the moniker of Rita Repulsa.
Yeah.
She owned it along. If you call her Rita Repulsa, she's not going to say, don't call me that. She's going to probably put up an animated GIF of Rita Repulsa. But see, because everybody's so clicked up online, and this is all high school cafeteria stuff. This ain't even about the art. This is about who clique is in whose clique and whose crew is in whose crew. This ain't about no music. This is the reason why we got people online that were anti-Drake about bars, lyricism, questioning people's blackness. They not from this country. They're not FBA. Fine, I don't care about all of that.
They bit too much off. They should have just been honest and said we're just getting rid of Drake.
Because we want to.
Because we want to, and because Kendrick want to do his thing. You should have just said that, because if you left it just based off of just that competition with those two guys, that's would have been the end of it. Y'all did all this preachy shit about, it's about the bars and stuff, and it's about preserving blackness. So then, for every Fantano, for every Cardi B, for any of those situations, you're going to get doxxed by 100,000 points.
Yeah, and then people get to move on. All right? All right, because people, I also think they scared of how much damage Nicki can do. That's another thing. How much, but see, y'all started the big three, and I'm not saying you all in chat, but they started the big three conversation about who were the more popular people of this era, or the three MCs, right? But they forget a part of that peer class did include like the Futures and also Nicki Minaj. So because there's this discount, to remember, Envy, he did tell Nicki, he says, look, I don't have to play your records. I'll make sure I don't play your records, right? Everybody was comfortable with that. Again, he say that to a guy, people will have more pushback. So now that you have this giant rogue planet out there, Nicki Minaj, right? Because she's supposed to be washed up and outside the industry, but people are still scared of the damage she can do, right? They're scared of that energy going because one thing Nicki did do, she went right at the top dog, which was Jay-Z. She said things online about Jay-Z. People were in favor of the industry or popular industry or their careers at the heights or whatever the case is, wouldn't say. People did what even though Jaguar Wright got her own stories and stuff. But what was the thing they was doing with the Jaguar Wright woman? Oh, well, a never was, a woulda, coulda, washed up lies. Yeah, but Nicki is in the thick of it with support still, and she's doing this thing with Jay-Z, which proves the point that there's more pro Jay-Z energy behind this more than anything else, and anti pro Jay-Z, pro Nicki. That's really what the fight is.
The last two people that really made Jay-Z look bad was Professor Griff and Nas.
That's it.
Nicki is not, of course, not no Professor Griff, and she's no Nas.
But caused damage to him publicly.
But the last two people to really be going after Jay-Z like this, but in a more focused way, because when Nas lit up the fire against Jay-Z and he made the allegations with Aaliyah and R. Kelly and all this other stuff with Jay-Z, Nas was very focused, and we got an amazing legendary diss record with Ether, and we got a classic album, Stillmatic. When Professor Griff was lighting Jay-Z up for a very long time, he had the PowerPoints. He was talking about how the industry is orchestrated and all this other stuff. And, Jay-Z didn't make anything better for himself when he was with them European witches with his forehead glued to them. And then now you got somebody like Nicki out here, really, really.
And they don't know what to do with her.
But also,
they don't know what to do.
Also, Dope is correct. Nicki, I think, she did complain about Tracy Chapman, but Tracy Chapman won at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I'm telling you what this issue is. We said this from the beginning. Y'all not going to know what to do with Nicki Minaj. And even making that statement, dealing with the reality of the situation is not being pro anybody. It's stop being sensitive if you're trying to be generals about stuff. The reality of the situation, it was a bad idea for Punch and SZA to engage with Nicki. They both got cooked. It was a bad idea to distract Cardi from her campaign rollout, which everybody gave the visuals, the aesthetics of it. At the very least, it was a feel-good joint for a lot of other people, right?
Album cover, very
right.
pretty.
The Alfred Hitchcock homage was great.
The promo thing,
right? Everything,
I like.
Yeah, everything was fire about it, right? It was a bad strategy to have her to go on Young Thug's album and diss Nicki. Horrible strategy. And I just don't get it. That's why I don't mess with a lot of these fools. They get themselves in these tar pits, and they why is they mouth under tar right now?
It's horrible decision to have Charlamagne be the person talking out against Nicki. You were smelling women's chairs. You allegedly raped a 16-year-old girl. So I think a lot of people, they're just
even with this Charlamagne thing. Let's be real. His bite is about as strong as an old person's whose dentures fell out. That's Snagglepuss. Them donkey on the day, that donkey dead. That donkey dead.
The donkey
flies all around it. That donkey dead. He ain't got no snap in his swing.
That donkey died a long time ago.
So these are all terrible strategies, and Nicki's just gonna keep going. She's just gonna keep going.
As long as she don't get killed. If she gets killed, although remember her barbers are suicide bombers, so
good luck on that one too.
Because
I actually think you're gonna be escalating stuff.
I think out of all the fan bases, I'm
to the Dooga boys.
I'm being honest. I think out of all the fan bases, I think Nicki has one of the few fan bases that if she got killed, people would try to actually harm the people that they think tried to harm her.
Yeah.
But outside of if
Jay-Z would have to leave America. I'm being real. If the Dooga people snap Nicki, Jay-Z would have to leave America. I promise you all. Y'all think we be exaggerating when we make these grand statements. We're telling the truth. We said it wasn't a good idea for Punch and SZA to play with Nicki. We saw what happened.
Industry niggas are so cocky. The reason why we said don't engage with Nicki, not because Nicki is just completely great with media. Again, she shoots herself in the foot a lot. It's not because of that. It's because it's a drawn out process. Okay, I'll give you an example. If I was somebody who was anti-Rock Nation, I could just simply use the fact that Punch said that Cardi was the new Tupac.
There you go. Yeah, and he did
But-
say that.
but-
Wrote an op-ed piece on it.
But get this though, when you don't say anything, then it's hard for people to do that. Like let's say for example, Punch and SZA, they just didn't engage with Nicki. You know, SZA's doing a great job on tour with GNX, right? With Kendrick and them. They didn't say nothing. When you don't say nothing to Nicki, it makes Nicki just seem like the old lady yelling at the sky, right? But when you engage with Nicki, then now people are going to bring things up, and if you try to make yourself seem like you're more pure than Nicki and you're better than Nicki, but then people are going to bring up your receipts of your sexual assaulters and of your people who don't write, and of you selling out the culture to be for somebody who's fake. But if you don't say nothing,
nothing happens.
nothing happens.
Yeah. Shouts out to the Agent of Love. Appreciate you so much. You said first time sliding in, so shouts out to you. But look, I just tactically, I'm just saying if I'm looking to make money off of Cardi B, looking for her to make money, and quote unquote she's with child. So that tells you how raw the industry is. They thought Nicki Minaj would not shoot in the direction of a pregnant woman. Her op being pregnant. Because remember, that was a part of the rollout is that, Cardi.
She did overstep over there. I think Nicki is apologizing, but I mean,
to the culture, the baby that's actually here.
Yeah.
Right? So
wait, I'm sorry. Clarify that. Go ahead. What you were saying?
Okay, so she apologized. Nicki Minaj apologized to culture. It was kind of like a Meet the Gram thing, though. Dear, what is it? Dear Adonis, your father's a punk, blah, blah, blah. It was that type of letter. I read it.
You're supposed to do it in a song, though.
Right.
Nicki, and that's a Nicki problem too. She keep trying to do things like you got to put that. You should have been quiet and put your Dear Culture on an album. See, that's another strategy. That's what I'm saying. Like using the
just
Kendrick
before
strategy.
even before you get to that point, saying you're not wrong about that, but like, what do we say? Nicki's aim at this point is beyond music now. It's beyond even having a hot diss. Now revisiting what we are when we talked about with Meg Thee Stallion, because I definitely think she should have chosen a better instrumentation for Bigfoot. I didn't like them the Havana Cocoa beats. I told y'all I did. I said, I don't think that's gonna cut it because Megan's gonna come out on some bangers, right? But it's a campaign that Nicki has herself. And her aim has been Jay-Z, and I'm seeing now she's letting off more straight shots at Beyonce directly now in her tweets. All I'm saying, when sending that was
that's why I'm saying that Nicki don't have no good strategy, but the people who engage with her make her strategy looks great. Because like if I was Nicki, I wouldn't even be focusing on Beyonce. You got to focus on people. People have a hate-love relationship with Jay-Z, so focus on him.
Well, you know what she's doing.
When you trying to do, I know what she's trying to rope in, but you can't just throw that out so quickly.
Well, yeah, no. What's happening though is because, and it's also because Jay-Z's been catching a bunch of L's too. So people striking while their enemies down bad right now, and Nicki has really been on Jay-Z's head. And we know that because Cardi B randomly disses Nicki on Young Thug's album. And I said, that's not going to be a good look. And Cardi B functionally right now is going through a divorce, is pregnant. And her new dude that got her pregnant, this guy got all type of allegations out here that are kind of wild and crazy. So
because Nicki she's got too many Sagittarius placements. She's doing it's too zealot-y. Like you supposed to be a calm, like, okay, a lot of people don't like Jay-Z, and Jay-Z has done wrong. Let me focus on him. Cardi don't write. I do, even though, we both from the Caribbean. Let me focus on Cardi, and let me focus on Jay-Z. Not bringing everybody in.
Well, listen, though. Remember that, but hey, listen. Like I said, whether she blows up on Beyonce or not, I still have the same energy in general because Sin and I, we talked about a lot of times in the rap space, and even R&B, or as the corporate boys say, urban radio, a lot of these people do destroy each other. They do destroy each other. They do tear each other's down. They do diminish and devalue each other. And people make weird oaths with people that are not within the culture that are just about money and business against other artists too. So look, I think it's par for the course. I do believe the Barbs and the Bayhive. There is a Cold War right now, but I'm seeing Nikki letting off more shots now. I think there's something I do believe she feels is in the water because we saw this before when Busby came out. And sitting now, we told y'all on Thought Crimes for a long time. We told y'all that people did have Jay-Z's head on the altar, and we said that they wanted to hit Diddy, then turn around and go right after Jay-Z. Now, to the part about the low intelligence reception of rap culture, when you make these statements, people say you're the ones that are hating. So, that's just that. But I will tell you this, though. I do think the Cardi thing, tactically, I don't think it's panning out for what they're looking for. But the problem is folks, they keep trying to destroy each other, so nothing's going to work. We getting rid of Drake, we taking him out altogether, but then you guys are going to want to prop up your situation. But then some of the fans are going to be like, bro, wait a minute, what about you? It's Animal Farm. That's all it is. It's Animal Farm. And now only the true real artists are going to be able to survive beyond this because they'll be able to transform their art, transform their identity.
It is Animal Farm. Because that's why I said I'm not picking no sides. I don't give a fuck about this pro-Rock Nation, anti-Rock Nation shit. People who want to get rid of Jay-Z just want to be in his position, and Jay-Z want to get rid of people just so he can keep doing the funky shit he's doing. It's really that simple.
That's all it is.
It's
Animal Farm.
It's Animal Farm.
That's it.
That's
it. Rap Animal Farm, folks.
Ain't nobody,
all right.
People trying to save themselves and their own crews. They ain't.
Hey, man.
It ain't nobody, no fucking community.
Trump talking about dropping troops off in the Bay. There's people out there, they're panicking about those things. We seen what's been going on locally. We have people that they talking about, Democrats and Republicans that are not directly tied to the party. People are uprooting them for more quote unquote corporate candidates that they feel will work. Yeah, but anyway.
Also, just to mention this real quick, yeah, Glow really did cook Young Thug.
She did cook Young Thug. But every time something naturally, organically happens, here's how bad it is, and we're going to end on this note. This is how bad it is. Every time we have moments like that or something really dope happens where people talk about hip-hop, people attach it to Cardi, Kendrick, Nicki, Drake, and then it becomes this whole thing all over again that it really, there's nothing else going on there. So at the end of the day, they said that Cardi B is the #1 Black American rap woman that has surpassed Lauryn Hill. She's greater than Queen Latifah. I don't believe that, but that's what they're saying. And a lot of people that had them complaints against ghostwriters and fake MCs last year, they are pushing the line for Cardi B. All right. And that was it.
That's it, guys. 7:00 p.m. Patreon.
Tonight.
Be there.
Also, folks, y'all make sure y'all can click and subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be uploading some loose clips here and there. And folks, again, 7:00 tonight. Patreon, Sin and Be More will be with their esoteric tier. Bring your charts. Some of you all say y'all want to bring your charts. Make sure you bring your charts. We love y'all. We are out. Peace.
Peace.